Once you become a wife, especially if you know that you were a good wife, it's hard to be anything aside from that. Divorce can feel like it's taken everything from you, your confidence, your sexiness, and even your sense of self-worth. But today, I'm your coach, and I'm going to help you see that regardless of how you feel, regardless of what your life looks like right now, everything is temporary. We're going to use my Phoenix coaching method to get you unstuck and truly remembering your worth. So you're probably wondering, ma'am, who are you? Why are you my coach all of a sudden? And what on earth are you about to teach me? So I'm Adriana Onabogu. I am a certified life coach. I'm also a divorce coach, but most importantly, I am a woman who's gone through divorce. And I've been exactly where you are. 3 kids, 2 different dads, wondering about my self-worth, wondering about what's going to happen, wondering about my kids and how all the things are going to affect them. Everything you can possibly think of that you've experienced and gone through emotionally, so have I. But I've also remarried. I've learned a lot, and it's my job, I believe, to help other women who are on the same journey know how to get to the other side unscathed as much as possible. So I'm going to teach you my Phoenix coaching method, which helps you rise, reset, and rebuild slash rediscover. Right? Because a lot of times we focus on wanting to get back to how we used to be, but there's so much wisdom in the experience you've had, and you need to learn how to use that to your advantage. But before we can get to the end, before we can get remarried, before we can get to unshakable confidence, we have to rise. What does that consist of? Rising consists of you acknowledging where you are. Too many times, many of my clients try to almost become unbothered, as if the reality is not the reality. And I have to tell them it's okay that your reality is what it is. You have to accept it. You have to allow yourself to feel. You are on the ground right now and you're trying to pick yourself up. And the more you try to act like you're not on the ground and instead try to get on a plane, try to go on trips and try to do all these things, the longer it will take for you to really stand on your own 2 feet after you try to rise. So during this season is when you need to allow yourself to feel everything and be vulnerable. Here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to overdo it. You go buy a house, you start a business, you get your kids all the things that they want. I don't want you to try to build on top of your pain. This is where triggers come from. This is where so many things come from. You have to deal with it. I'm not saying that you don't go back to school and get your degree and do all the things that we always say, yes, girl, do your thing. Do it, but do it for the right reasons. Don't do it to try to prove a point. Don't do it because you're trying to numb yourself. Don't do it because you're trying to keep yourself from having to, again, recognize where you are. Feel. Be angry. Be sad. Be upset. Be frustrated. Be embarrassed. Be whatever it is. And only place yourself in environments that actually allow you to feel however it is that you feel. Next is resetting. When we talk about resetting, we're talking about our mindset. When you go through a major life transition like divorce or a major breakup, your mindset is what will keep you stuck. Your mindset is what will really make you believe that you can never do this again and that you're just going to focus on your kids and that all the things. And honestly, if that's what you really want, I'm not mad at that. But most of my clients say that, but that's not what they really want. They want another chance at love because they are wives. Naturally, once you become a wife, especially if you know that you were a good wife, it's hard to be anything aside from that. So don't use your kids and a job and all these things as excuses to what you want. You have to change your mindset. You have to get your mind to be on track to where you're trying to go and not just where you came, what you came out of. Because after divorce, your mindset is going to be on all the limiting beliefs, all the things you can't do, all the things that you're not good at, all the things that you don't deserve, all the things about what you can't have because logically it doesn't make sense for someone to come in and take on you and your kids and take on you and all these things that's happened to you. And those things are not true, but you have to train your mind to know that those things are not true. Because if you don't, all your mind can do is go based off what's already happened. What's happened is whatever traumatic experiences you've had, whatever the type of relationship that just ended was, is what your mind will go to. Your mind will not know that there are men out here who would love to meet another woman that has been married and knows how to do this and wants to do it. And let's say you don't want to get married again. Let's say you just want to be the best version of yourself. Your mind needs to know that this is not it for you. This is not the end all be all, that your best years are behind you. You have to train your mind. You have to start self-reflecting, not just doing these basic journal prompts, not just doing these little things that are trending. You have to sit with yourself and challenge your mind. Is it that you can't have this life, or is it that you just need to know how to get that life? Because you can have anything you want, but your mind will be your biggest limiter or limitation if you don't train it properly. If you think that all men are narcissists because your ex-husband was a narcissist, guess the type of men you're going to meet. If you think that you aren't going to have certain things because of whatever your experience was, that is exactly what's going to happen, because your mind is going to look for validation in everyday actions from other people, from social media and for friends, to align with your beliefs. If you believe that all men are this way, if you believe that all men are like children, if you believe all this stuff, you are going to see things that go with what you say, because it's what you're putting out. But your mind is so powerful that if you believe you deserve better, that you just picked the wrong person, that you know better now so you can do better, that you're not the same person that you used to be, your life will not look the same. Adriana, how are you so sure? How are you so confident about this? Because if we were to go based off of logic or really going into limiting beliefs and all of that, I would have never gotten remarried. Because who would marry someone that has 3 kids by 2 different guys? If you want to look at it that way, who would? Most people wouldn't. But there are so many other factors that contributed to who I am as a woman aside from my divorce. A divorce was part of my story, the way it's part of yours. But my mindset had to change in believing that I deserve way more than what I'd gotten, and that I can be ready for what it is that I say that I want, because I believe I can actually have what I want. This right here is going to be the biggest thing that holds you back if you don't do it properly. Now it's time to rediscover or rebuild. This part right here is key. Why? Because once you really step into being this version of yourself, this is where you really rediscover who you actually are, because you're not going to be the same person that you were before you got married. You're not going to be the version of yourself that you were when you were married. You're going to be a completely different woman, which is okay. We don't want to go back to being who you were, because that version of you back then made decisions that you probably regret now. But the woman you are now, the person that you are rediscovering who you are now, she's becoming worthy of a life that she has control over, worthy for healthy love, worthy to be who you authentically are when you are in a safe environment. Because a lot of times we don't know who we are, mainly because we're in environments that we're not in control over. I don't know about you, but how I was in my first marriage was very different than how I was when I was single, and also how I am in my second marriage. Because in my first marriage, I had to protect myself. I had to be a certain type of way. How I just naturally wasn't acceptable. So I had to become something for so long that I had to shed. And once I started shedding, I realized who I really am. I was able to reconnect with things that I've always loved to do, but got lost in the identity of being someone's wife or being whatever the thing is, that I was able to reconnect to the core version of myself while bringing the wisdom of what I've learned from the pain. As your coach, my job is to help you almost erase the past, accept the lessons that you learned, because the lessons that you learned turned you into a woman with wisdom. All you have to do is use your wisdom wisely. You should not be making the same mistakes that you've made before if you properly rise, reset, and rebuild yourself as a woman. You become worthy of a life that you thought you didn't deserve because you never had it before. Maybe you were told negative things about you and what you should expect about life after divorce. But after going through this process, you build who you are as a woman from the ground up in a completely different way. And the most beautiful part is nobody can take this away from you. Nobody can take your experience away from you. You should be vetting men differently. You should be able to date easier because you know what you don't want and you know exactly what you want. You're already a wife. Hopefully you've self-reflected and you've been able to be vulnerable about your answers on how you got here. How? Because we didn't get here by ourselves. There's decisions that we made. And there are reasons why. Some of those reasons might stem from the past, our parents. There's so many reasons why we make the decisions that we made. When you get to this stage, this is your turn. Your turn to say, you know what? Regardless of what I was taught, what I accepted, what I experienced, I'm making a decision now to have a completely different standard and reintroduce myself to people that may have once knew me and people who are going to meet me as this version of myself because you're smart. You're experienced. You know better now. You know what to look out for, but you can't let your past hinder you. You cannot remain emotionally hostage because of the experience. When you become worthy, you let go. You understand that you only have so much control over certain things, and those are the things that you keep close to you. You will never allow someone in your space again that can't appreciate who you are as a woman. But in order for that to be something that really happens and becomes a part of your life, you have to be someone that understands your worth because you are worthy beyond measure, despite all of the things that you've had to reset and rebuild and rise from. You're now standing at a point where you are completely different. So stay different because there's beauty in the experience that you've had. I can bet you have the power to love yourself more now than you ever have before. You have the power to be a better mom than you ever have before and a better wife than you ever had before. Maybe your first marriage didn't even give you an opportunity to truly be the type of wife you wanted. You have so much power in this stage, but it's your job to understand what to do with that power. So I truly hope this was able to give you an idea of the process. My clients have said it feels like they're going through a detox when they go through this process, and that's what we want. We want a detox. We want to cleanse from the past, cleanse from the pain, but we want to keep the wisdom with us because that wisdom is going to take us places that we've never been able to go before because we were not this version of ourselves. Everybody likes to look at things their own way, but to me, it all comes down to perspective. Yes, somebody probably did something horrible to you. All these things happened to you. I get it. But today, you get to make a decision on what happens next. Do you understand the gravity of that? You get to decide. No matter what people have said, no matter the limiting beliefs they've put on you, you get to decide if you're going to be a worthy woman. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about this because I've been where you are and I know the type of transformation that comes when you're really ready. When you're really ready to let go and change and become a worthy woman and have that reset. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you're interested in diving deeper, I highly recommend you joining either the Worthy Woman Reset Club, which is a monthly membership that's $47, or my program, the Worthy Woman Reset Program, which is 6 months. All information will be in the description. All you have to do is make a decision.